good morning and welcome again to Sunrise, your Saturday morning breakfast magazine program. Breakfast show.
Saturday morning breakfast. Saturday morning breakfast.
I wonder how it will be if one day we just, have breakfast on the table,
You can't have breakfast at lunch.
No, but this is 9 a.m.,
Yes. Depends on what you want.
Have some, eggs and sausages. And
yes, and some...
a cup of coffee or cocoa.
Or some Joker fried chicken.
Oh, please.
Or Rogers fried chicken, whichever one it is.
Oh,
Good morning and welcome. I'm Ayo,
and I'm Joker
Rogers. Well, it's election day today in at two locations in Nigeria.
3, actually.
3? Yes. Okay, there's a Kano as well. Kano, Rivers,
and the big one in the FCT.
I don't know. I don't even know what to call that one. But anyway, I guess we're counting down. But that drama between the president and Mr. Wike is about the election.
Yeah, it's about the elections. But let's see how it pans out.
I like what the president said. Look, if this thing favors your party too much, you may lose your job.
I'm sure there will be a balance in between. Let's just see how it plays out. Of course, that's for the FCT. We also have by-elections in Kano and by-elections in River State as well. Yeah. In Ahoda, I think. Ahoda East 2 or so, I think. And then we're also having Kano State. So we'll be following all those elections for you today on Sunrise. Of course, during the course of the program, we'll be connecting with our correspondent, especially the FCT, covering that election. So that's it.
But let's also advise you quickly, please. If you don't vote, you vote. If you don't come out to vote, you have voted.
That's right.
Yes, it's like saying, I don't want to play politics, and someone told me that the fact that you say you don't want to play politics,
you're already playing politics.
Politics
already.
So if you don't go out to vote, you have voted. You have voted for the people you don't want to get into office. And incidentally, you vote for parties. You don't vote for individuals.
Yeah.
But it's the individuals that are going to come.
Yeah.
And campaign to you. So if you don't know your local government chairman, you don't know your councillor, well, check. Maybe somewhere in the papers you will find some information about them, because you don't want the wrong people in office doing one or two things for you. Yes. That might also be a good idea, a good time for us to call people out and tell them, guys, if you don't, I've given this analogy a few times. If you don't, if you enter, you say you don't want to get into politics because politics is dirty. Politics is like a kitchen.
Yeah.
The plates in the kitchen are dirty. You won't find a clean plate if you don't wash it.
If you don't wash it, yeah.
And before you can wash it, your hands have to get dirty.
Yeah.
So that's a very, very essential thing for everyone. So get into politics. If clean people don't get in, politics will remain dirty. I mean, that's just a fact right there.
Right, and we're going to Abuja elections soon to give updates on that. But also during the week, some of the things that will facilitate future elections, or so to speak. The president signs the Electoral Act 2026, and although people are calling him out for saying that it's not great for democracy, but hey, he has signed it anyway. So we're going to have some updates. From Abuja. I think we should go there now to the FCT to see what's going on. That's early preparations. You can see security, men beefing up security there ahead of the elections, which I think should have started by now, according to INEC. It's the only election that INEC as a body, the national body, is conducting. Aside from, for other elections.
The only subnational
election. It's the only subnational election that INEC has the power to conduct. So you see security personnel, just standing around ensuring that everything is going on well. Earlier, the police said that they're on standby to ensure peaceful election. So let's just hear from the FCT Police Commissioner on today's election and what's going on.
Deployments have commenced have virtually concluded. For us, every polling unit as at this point should have men unless they're a bit late. Electoral materials, to the best of my understanding, have started to arrive polling units from rack centers, which is what we charged INEC to do, and INEC is also very disposed to it. They made that commitment, so materials have started arriving, policemen there. As it is, our reason for ensuring that we commence early is so as to commence accreditation and voting in good time, conclude in good time, and then, if possible, the whole process ends in good time. FCT Police Command is committed. We are very ready. We're very ready. We've deployed massively. Monitoring of the elections have seriously commenced. The Inspector General of Police, in his wisdom, has deployed massively from headquarters, first headquarters, to give us support. So as it is today, I am here. There's another Commissioner of Police that has come to support us in monitoring. So many officers from the headquarters at all, cutting across all ranks. Cutting across all ranks. I have commenced, yes sir. We are very ready. We're very ready. We've deployed massively. Monitoring of the elections.
Right, so as you see there, the Dantawaye Miller, that's the FCT Police Commissioner, talking about how materials are being deployed under strict security, how everybody's getting ready for this important elections across the FCT. And of course, the police have been giving warnings that, you know, if you have no business in the area, I mean, if what you want to come and do is to cause violence or to, you know, disrupt the electoral process, then stay away, because these elections there will be no room for such. So that's the warning from the police. Of course, at the registration area councils, it's also a beehive of activity early today, as everybody was getting ready to come out to, of course, move the election materials to the various polling units. And this also leads to the call by INEC before now, and they're still calling because there's still 2027 elections that's going to happen, that everybody should collect their permanent voter cards. So as Ayo has just said, that if you don't participate in the elections, which means you have participated in elections. If you don't vote, you have voted. If you don't collect your permanent PVC, you have also, you know, spoken.
In a way, I think we can even give some kudos. According to the INEC, 94.4% of PVCs have been collected.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's by, you know, the voters all over the place there. Good number of things, I mean, is likely to happen. INEC says, you know, the elections today across the 6 area councils of the FCT will involve about 1.6, that's 1,680,315 registered voters, and they have 2,822 polling units. And of course, we've mentioned the by-elections in Rivers and Kano states as well. Right. Some drama, of course, you know, have also started. Yeah. Also prefaced this election, some candidates of one party withdrawing for another. Well, one thing we can say, as Joke mentioned, the process has started in the FCT right now. We're seeing, if you go online, you will see already one political party has its situation room ready. Yeah. And some voters are already at various centers looking for things to do. Yes.
And then if you are in Abuja, if you're participating in that election, electoral officers and voting materials have arrived at the LEA Primary School in Sagwari in Bwari Area Council. So if you are in that area and that's your polling units, please do send us, some of the things that you're observing via pictures or videos. We'd like to know what's going on and how the electoral process is going on there. This voting area has 8 polling units. INEC officials are still setting up their voting cubicles before accreditation of voting will commence. This is at 9:07, and we understand that voting was supposed to start at 8:30, so that's already late. There's a sizable presence of security personnel comprising the police, NSCDC officials, and the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency at the center. I do recall that, some of the off-cycle elections that we had previously, and security agencies, when they arrested a lot of people, some for vote buying, some for violence, others for they saw cash with people. So I can imagine why NDLEA, all of them are there. Maybe you find people with drugs, using drugs to, you never know. The elections bring out a lot of things in people and in the process. So let's see what's going to go on.
Well, thankfully we have election observers, and we'll be talking with 2 of them shortly. But there's something that we need to quickly draw attention to, and that's the fact that maybe our guests will tell us whether or not we had enough voter awareness or education about this election, because I've heard it said by INEC, at the federal level, that the most unpatronized elections in Nigeria is the local government elections. Sometimes not up to 10% of the voters come out to vote. And I think people need to know what is at stake here. A lot of money, a lot more money now goes straight to the local governments as opposed to the state governments. Now the local governments get their money directly, at least according to the Supreme Court ruling. Whether or not that's taken, start taking off all across. I guess that's another thing to say. So whether or not it goes to the FCT, local governments, area councils there directly, I think we will also understand. But if the Supreme Court ruling is anything to go by, they should be getting their resources directly. And if they are getting their resources directly, you don't want to leave state money or public money to people who don't understand how to spend time.
And I know that there was a time the president actually he voiced it out. Go and be asking even your state and local governments. They have more money, and money is going. So
and you know what's even interesting? This executive order that the president just signed for remittance of oil and gas revenue
into the federation
account. He is saying, look, he respects the BIA, but the Constitution is superior to the PIA and all of that. So some speculate that some 15 trillion naira is going to be coming to the federation account, which will still be distributed. So if you're going to be dividing all of that money, you don't have someone at the local government as chairman who is going to be doing it right.
We're going to our menu now, but I just want to put it out there too that I don't think even civil society organizations, as they come out and make noise as much, they shouldn't leave it to INEC or the federal government to do voter education. They too, because they are fighting for the people, they should also go out there and do door-to-door voter education.
The political parties have a role in voter education. CSOs have, the people themselves have, INEC has. Everyone's job. Anyway.
Our menu, I think we've pretty much talked about 2 or so of our menu. The Abuja area council elections. We talked about local government autonomy and how people should go and be asking their local government, so what are you doing for us? So I guess what's next, everyone, is our lifestyle. Healing broken fatherhood.
Now some will wonder what you also agree it's a big one.
It's big. It's big.
Okay. Well, you'll find out how big when you get to lifestyle.
And then we have our artist of the week. Let's not keep you any longer. We'll get right to it in a short while. See you on the other side.
Thank you so much for joining us, for remaining with us. I hope you have your cup of cocoa or cocoa
or coffee or tea or the tea.
She has spoiled everything. And,
I'm sorry, Galero.
we're plunging straight into that conversation around the Abuja area council elections.
Yes,
but just
definitely.
quick information: 6 area councils. The elections will be held at Amak, which is the Abuja Municipal Area Council, with 12 wards. Abaji has 10 wards. Buari has 10 wards. Gwagwalada has 10 wards. Kuje has 10 wards. Kwale has 10 wards, and all of these are already, some of them have become active.
Yes.
A number of them have already started to do stuff.
And in order to prepare for this election, you know, the FCT minister declared a public holiday yesterday for all workers. So.
Even though there's been backlash to that one as well. Anyway, let's have conversations quickly with 2 people who will be helping us understand what's going on and what will be new, if anything is going to be new in this election. NLB is someone you know very well on the station. She's former country director, Action Aid, and executive director, NLB Center for Development. She joins us in Abuja along with Ezenwa Wago, who is executive director, Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Okay. So,
thank you for having us.
Thank you. Welcome. So let's start. I'd like to start with you. Ladies first, they say, so let's just go that way. First of all, the Electoral Act has been signed. The amendment, the repeal and an amendment has been signed, and it has some recommendations that may or may not be so much different. What do you think is likely to be different today, Madam Obi? Are we going to have the same of the same? Is anything going to be, do you think it's a little too early to operationalize the law that's just been signed, or it's just, we should expect a miracle?
I think there are no miracles. It has gone into record that this is the fastest bill ever signed in a very, very long time. It can be positive and it can be negative, because before the 2022 the 2022 Electoral Act was signed, it went to the president about 7 times. So what is the difference here? The difference is that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is interested in the bill. That showed that, and he said himself that he was watching what was happening, which meant that that's what he wanted, and he got it done, you know, the way he wanted. What is the difference is what we from the civil society, and we are happy to be a part. The Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room is set up, you know, a situation room in Abuja Continental, where we are monitoring all the area councils from there, the complaints, you know, the same. What we're monitoring is the normal early arrivals, or how prepared those who have arrived, and where we have shortfalls, because we have deployed observers, you know, in all the area councils. And so it's very interesting to see that election has commenced. And I can tell you that in almost every, I've visited 4 polling units this morning, and we have received reports from most of the area councils, Kuje, Abaji, Kwale, and, you know, Gwagwalada, and so on, and Amak itself, where we are seated. I think the issue of voter apathy is too early to tell how many people have come, but we're happy that we're able to see some, you know, party agents at the polling units. A number of them I was at, you know, the polling unit 018 and also 111. That's a shock. That's a polling unit that is related to, that is supposed to be in at the post office. But what is happening there is that normally inside the compound of the post office, it protects about 2 to 4 polling units. But when we got there, you know, the gates were locked, and so they had to set up outside. You know, so that is being sorted. But in polling unit 016 and also 017, you know, where we also saw that one batch arrived earlier, and the other batch just came in before I came into the studio. But what we are expecting is, for for people to turn out. I like the analysis, Ayo, which you did, that if you choose not to vote, you have already voted. If you choose not to be, you say you are not going to participate in politics, you have already put your concern because your gap, nobody can take your place in terms of citizens' responsibilities. So we hope that, it's too early indeed. They cannot use, it's not the same law, the law that was passed yesterday or 2 days ago that practically be on ground. But we'll see how it turns out. At the end of the day, I think it's the citizens that matters. The presiding officers, some of them were very sharp in saying we have to show them our tags and all. But at the end of the day, the interaction that I've found this morning, there hasn't been any major fracas. And the reports we are getting is that people are really setting up. Some of them finding as at 7 o'clock or 6:50, many materials have arrived where it should be. And, more are still arriving. Even as I was coming into the studio, some people are arriving, but I could see professionalism in terms of how they set up the table and where there are complaints on how you position the cubicle. Citizens are engaging. More citizens need to go out. Voter apathy is a very major thing, and that's why we are coping. Say, give us transparent systems that can let
if you can hear me,
exactly
that's one of the
where we are going.
Disturbing.
We are not looking. We are looking at strengthening the system.
Well, just a moment, madam. I think that's actually one of the disturbing trends. That more citizens need to engage. Something very important that you said there about voter apathy. We'll come to that in a moment. But Joke has some updates.
Yeah. So we gave some updates earlier about the LEA, primary school. Our correspondent is there monitoring the events, the ad hoc staff of INEC, setting up their cubicles and positioning. Yeah. So electoral officers and voting materials have indeed arrived at that LEA primary school, Sagwari in Bwari Area Council. The voting area has 8 polling units. INEC officials are setting up their voting cubicles before accreditation and voting will commence. There's a sizable presence of security personnel comprising the police, NSCDC officials, and the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency at the center.
You said that the other time. EFCC is there, ICPC is there, NSCDC is there, NDLEA is there. Okay. We wonder sometimes what. So I think that perhaps the message right there for the citizen, the voters in Abuja right this moment is it's safe to come out to vote.
Yeah.
No one should be driving around today until about 6 p.m.
Yeah.
According to the pronouncement of Mr. Wike. So that's really, really important, for us to say right there.
Yeah.
But so more details will be coming to you. As you can see, the setup is ongoing right now. The ad hoc staff are doing what they need to do. Voters are already on standby, checking out where is my name here. I really don't know how this happens, but let me quickly ask Mr. Nwagu this question, and it's a follow-up on something that Madam Obi said the other time. Recent FCT polls, council polls, have seen turnout as low as 9%, between 9% and 11%. And I'm wondering what you think is responsible for that, or are we likely to have an improvement in the figures now, or you think the figures are going to go lower now, particularly with these economic pressures and what one can perceive as lack of impact? Do you think it's likely to keep people away, or you think people are seeing some important things happening in their environments and they can? Do you think we will have more than 9 to 11% or less this time around?
Well, Larry, that's difficult to predict at this point, but it's also important to differentiate between apathy and turnout, because registration is participation. If you have 1.6 million voters who have registered, and like you said, about 95% PVC collection, that is enthusiasm in the process. But turning out is a different thing, and there could be a lot of reasons why people turning out is a different thing, and there could be a lot of reasons why people may not come out. Like you said, the economic pressures are there, the absence of government, especially at these levels. It's funny that you could have people who live in Amak who may never have even heard of the name of the chairman of the local government, or even know whether, apart from seeing folks who harass motorists on the road wearing vests that carry local governments. Local government, local council is completely absent in the life of the people who live. But it's not completely a problem of government. It is also a problem of citizens. We only remember area councils when we want to get our state of indigenship and other documents that...
Isn't that to say that maybe even the local government administrations themselves are not involving themselves in the lives of the people?
We don't even want to know who is our councillor.
Can you hear me, Mr. Wagu?
Part of political education that needs to continue will be to excite more and more citizens to get interested. Things won't happen because you want it to
Mr.
happen.
Wagu, can you hear me for one moment?
You are pushing for them to
just a moment. Isn't that really what is expected of? Isn't that really because the local government administrations themselves, or area council in this case, have made themselves not as significant or as relevant in the lives of the people? Maybe the people don't even know the things that they do. For instance, who is supposed to be in charge of street naming? Who is supposed to be maintaining their streets, constructing their roads? The assumption is that all roads are supposed to be made by either the federal government or the state government. But the Constitution is clear about what the functions of the local governments are. One of them is constructing roads. One of them is maintaining markets and all those things. So if these things happen and we do not see the local government chairmen come out to show themselves, how will people know that they exist if they are not as active as they ought to be in the lives of the people? This could also be responsible for voter apathy, don't you think?
Voter turnout. Voter turnout. I continue. Yes, voter turnout, because like I keep saying, participation is ongoing in different ways. People participate in the electoral process in more ways than voting. Voting is an aspect of the process. But you are right, and absolutely right, that like I said, you will only see them with the tickets that they go around in the market. Not just getting those things, sometimes even extorting citizens. That's how you know there's a local government in the marketplaces that you talk about. But I also have a perspective about when people, we have to knock doors. It's not just the fact that even if people don't want to open those doors, we have to knock and get them to open it. Because governments generally, in my view, are not responsible enough to the citizens. And so citizens can't get back and say, oh, they are not carrying us along, as we normally say in Nigeria. I think we should push more. I think we should do more, not just for elections, because the challenge is that the excitement also is during elections. Immediately this is over, we get back to our daily lives. We don't care whether those markets that you talked about are maintained. We don't think whether there are cottage hospitals that can at least provide first aid for citizens, and that is the responsibility of, we don't care whether the roads are paved, for even if they are not maintained at least reasonably for the comfort of citizens. We wrist our hands and say, oh, we don't know them. We should know them. We should demand who they are and ask for the things that we deserve.
Right. And Madam Obi, if I can come to you, this election is seen as all important for the FCT because it seems indigenous groups are using this election to push for the reclassification of area councils as full local government areas, and of course, and also the creation of more senatorial districts and chronic underrepresentation. Do you see this happening even after this election, or is there some way to go?
I do think that people will continue to fight for their rights. when they feel marginalized. The concept of the FCT itself, when it started, excluded the people because there was a whole trial of trying to relocate them from where they are to create space for the Federal Capital Territory, to create space for the kind of design that was done for the FCT. And so resettling them and so much, they were not captured unlike you have in Lagos, you have in Saleko, and then you have different places where the citizens were directly involved in the administration of so many things that they are doing. The FCT case is a different one, and I think it's important to integrate them because they are within the land on which you have come to build. There was some compensations that were done initially, but when you look at the kind of compensations, billions were paid out or so-called paid out, to citizens to relocate themselves. But there was a lot of things, there's so many things that didn't quite go right. So the agitation will continue, and I think it's important to include the people. It's the inclusion that we're looking at. Any environment that you are, you need to include the people and let them be able to decide for themselves what they feel they need to decide. They need to be included in the decision that affects the lives of the people that are living on the land. When we are talking about voter apathy, when you bring in what happened during the Electoral Amendment Bill, when it was a bill, through the journey through to the signing of the bill, what we wanted was to reassure citizens that their votes will count. And I think some of the apathy that we're talking about may be because people feel my vote won't count anyway because they said transmission will not be there. It may affect a little. So if you were at 9% before, it may go lower. But, I go back again to IO's analysis to say that it's important for every citizen to be involved in the decision that affects their lives. It's important for all of us to come out, register and go out to vote or, to be part of the electioneering process. We have, parties now going on mobilization of members. And what we have talked about, mobilizing money from even within your political parties, because if you say you are 1 million or you are 20 million, and every citizen pays those who are going to be members, who want to be members of the party, pay like 1,000 or 2,000. You are creating your self-sufficiency in terms of sustainability of the party already. I don't know what particularly they are charging at the moment, but they are doing electronic, registration, and you are afraid of electronic transmission. So many things there will cause that. But I do think that the struggle for representation continues, and we have the Federal Character Commission that tries to look at diversity. Diversity principles should be used at all times in representation.
Right. Madam Obi, if I can still stay with you, do you think that some will say that the president was hasty in signing the electoral bill. Is that your view as well?
The processes that normally you go through is when, when the conference committee, when they have agreed and it has been passed, it will go to the president. The president's office is not going directly to the president. The president's office receives it and takes it through its own legal machinery as well. But how quickly it's signed showed that the president was with the whole idea, or maybe it was from his office that the whole thing emerged. So it means that he and his team are quite aware and they were being copied or everything, or maybe the interest of the president is represented and they were monitoring every minute of it. And when it came to him, it was not it's not strange anymore. It's not the best to delay, bills when it has come to you, when for assent. So that's why I say it can be negative or positive, because what really happened that you signed it so quickly? Is it because of the FCT election? It can't catch up with it because they are already in the field, But what exactly are we? There is a lot that needs to hear, and I think very interesting too. What will let people want to willingly go and vote is that we don't vote in Nigeria, we don't vote for individuals. We vote for political parties. And you see people using the people. The emblem of the party is the one that, the logo of the party is the one that you vote for. You know, and after voting, many people are jumping ship. They are jumping from one party to the other and doing that and thinking that that is whole and whole. Under normal circumstances, when you jump like that, you declare vacant, you know, the position vacant. Let other people compete for it. But so what? It's so many things leading to what we want to do, you know, inspires people to come and vote. But we need a re-engineering of citizenship responsibilities. We all need to pick our responsibilities, you know, take it very seriously, because that's the highest office of the land, the office of citizenship. You can decide, and you can hold people accountable. But let people go out there, whether it's electronic transmission or whatever is happening, go and vote, wait for your votes to be counted, and look at what will happen, and then, let's have some transparency and accountability, but people holding government to account by being a part of the process. If you are not a part, you can't complain.
Zawago, I don't know if you agree with Madam Obi that maybe not much will change, but let's look at some basic facts. In the follow-up to in the aftermath of the 2023 elections, and people were complaining about whether IRF performed well or not, whether they were able to view content on the IRF portal well enough or not. Some of these issues went to court. And the courts, said finally that, look, there is no such thing as electronic transmission in the law, in the Electoral Act at the time. Now it is law. Electronic transmission is in the law, in our law. So because we have practiced it, in the past, and the only thing is that it was not written as a condition, a precondition for voter collation or collation of results and all of that. Do you see that, instilling any confidence in the people now, with something we've been doing before? We did it in 2023. The electronic transmission of results. It's just that it was not enshrined in the law. This time around that it's been written in the law, what do you think is likely to be different?
Well, it's important that it's in the law, but it's more important that political parties take their responsibilities more seriously. The process is still largely manual. It is largely manual because you accredit and then you vote manually, and your votes are sorted manually, counted manually, announced manually, and then uploaded. So the oversight of this process is the responsibility of the party agents. If they shirk that responsibility, if they compromise that responsibility, if they sell out their political parties, they upload, which is the end game of the result management process, may not give us the kind of integrity sentinel that we're looking for. But it is key that we've been able to put it in the law, but it must not take away the fact that if parties don't have agents, and there is nothing like citizen agents, INEC accredits party agents, accredits observers, so those accredited party agents have a responsibility to their parties. And I've been asking that the parties themselves must be able to set up their own result viewing portal, mined from their party agents, with which they can then compare with what is in the INEC result viewing portal. If we don't do that, most of what happens at the polling unit, elections are polling unit centric. It is at the polling unit that most of the compromises take place, even though collation is a challenge. So the viewing portal, as it is in itself, reposits these results. But the actions and behavior or misbehavior of the political parties will give the integrity to that viewing portal. And the only way that can happen is when they themselves take their responsibilities more serious. That may be of help. But I'm excited that we have it in the law. It will help not just the political parties, it will help independent, people who want to assess the results. It will help scholars. It will also help journalists who want to do independent assessment of what outcomes of results are. But for the E-Day especially, it is the play of the political parties.
Right. Mr. Wagugu, major political parties like the APC and the PDP have framed this local contests, especially the FCT council elections, as a strategic exercise to gauge their own national appeal ahead of the elections next year. That's the general elections in 2027. Do you see this as a litmus test for the ruling party?
I don't want to get into outcomes. I'm really very worried about getting into outcomes. I'm more, we will be more interested in looking at the process, how the different stakeholders in the electoral process carry out their responsibility. And by that I mean, first and foremost, the EMB, the Electoral Management Body, how much is able to discharge its responsibilities of conducting free, fair, credible, acceptable elections. We want to see security, how professional they are, how impartial and neutral they are. And you were talking earlier when you started about NDLEA and RAT. That is a response of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, access, which has a pool of all the major security agencies working in a coordinated form to be able to, for security provisioning. We want to be able to see how the electorates themselves respond to, the campaigns that have done. Where are they issue-based? What is in contest? And how much are we going to see in terms of voter inducement or the absence of it? Those are the things that are. So for litmus tests, I would want to be looking at litmus tests for security agents, litmus tests for INEC, litmus tests for conduct, civil conduct of the political parties and the electorate. But outcomes will be the interest of partisans, in my view.
Well, Madam Obi, Mr. Nwago has spoken to this a bit, but it goes back to what the president said, that look, the elections, the entire process is largely manual. What safeguards do we need to bring in to instill more confidence? Whatever it is that is going to be uploaded on the viewing portal on IREV is going to be written by people. What are the safeguards you think need to come in to boost confidence in the process?
I think I want to go back to say that the legislatures have been really dealing with citizens in terms of creating confidence in the system. Because during Jega's time, they also tried to deal with the issue of e-voting. Because if you can go there and press what you are pressing now, you could easily also do e-voting. And they came out with it, during Jega's time, but it was turned down. Now we say do mandatory transmission, of votes, of the votes right from the polling unit upload. They say when they are telling us, they're just talking to us as if we're children. They're telling us if you vote in places that don't have network, there are some places that don't have network. We all travel around the country. And I think before the 2023 general election, they challenged Professor Mahmood and told him, they invited him and the communications minister into the National Assembly. And he told them that they have no problem with uploading the results. And we could see it through the National Assembly results that were uploaded. You see, when the court is also saying there is no, this transmission is not written in law. When they want to cause fraud, they look at it from another side. They look for loopholes. And that's why we're saying, don't give us loopholes anymore. Let the transmission be mandatory and let it create more confidence. We are not satisfied with what the president has passed, though in what we have seen so far, the copy of what the president signed, what we have seen, the issue of communication is not there, or the issue of the network is not there. Maybe we are waiting for what is being gazetted, so we see properly what they have written, and we think they should create more confidence in the people, because you are not on that seat forever. And so it's important for us to continue to focus on what's on ground. In 1993 election, which MKO won, the parties were very, very active. We need to take the issue of the party agents very, very seriously. When we're doing during the 2023 general election, there were so many, polling units that you go. Many parties were not taking it seriously. But we are saying you need to create that. Eze mentioned that some parties have created situation room. That's what you should do. You need to collect from, because the form that is signed is also signed by your agents, and they transmit it to you. They snap it and send to you. So already you will be collecting, and you'll be knowing what. We are interested in what happens with the system.
Okay.
You need to create more confidence.
Well, madam,
Okay.
The electronic transmission thing made us, Jockey and I last week, ask two of our guests who, I think we were talking about ethical hacking and all of that. Yeah. And we asked the two of them, how foolproof? Well, that was something like that. How foolproof is it? Is it safe? How foolproof, how insulated is an election process against hacking? And both of them, one was in London, one was here in the studio with us, said that there is no such thing as foolproof against hacking. You'd also recall, madam, last week, and this is not making a case, it's just asking the questions. Last elections, the last 2023 elections, INEC came out and said they had millions of attempts at people wanting to hack their system,
compromise it,
surreptitiously to influence the process or the outcomes or whatever it is. Perhaps those are the conditions that the National Assembly members considered in coming up with this position. What's your take on that?
I think people will seek for reasons. There is of course, no foolproof. People can hack, and what we're talking about is that when an election is conducted in a polling unit, already all the parties will have the results. And so there are so many ways of checking whether this is the real result and what have you. When you allow movement from one place to the other before transmission, then you start seeing some of the things that happened in 2023 by, manipulation. You can see where they cancel results because the form is not available. You don't have more forms. The forms are restricted. You find out that they are canceling, and then you see shabby, cancellation, and it is very, very clear when you see that something has been changed. And that's why we're saying when you upload right from the unit there are ways of checking it. INEC, of course, has ways of, they have backups to be able to check certain things. But we can't say that that is the main reason, because if you are able to upload the national election, results, why couldn't you upload the presidential result at the same time? So nobody should tell us that this is the reason why this didn't happen, or the glitches only happened to the transmission because it's the same election, the same day. And that's why many of us are clamoring for a single day, election, so that one election does not influence the other, to strengthen the system, to make people stronger. And so, nobody can guarantee whatever proof, but what they are saying, they are seeking, I think those are very vague reasons or lazy reasons to tell us that transmission could happen. When they tell us about network, when you have WhatsApp, when you upload or you respond to messages, when there is no network, nothing will upload. But when you get a network, you won't even know when your phone would have sent all the messages. And we know that the Beavers machine has the capacity to transmit, immediately, and also, to upload to the IREP portal. And I think another attempt would be if it was electronic voting, for example, you'll be seeing the results as it's coming. And that's one that when we do a comparison with a country like India that has 980 million registered voters with about 640 million voting, and the announcement is done one day, can we learn from them to strengthen our system? But let's not use the system to cheat ourselves or to use language to coordinate the efforts. But I think at the end of the day, the quality of the citizen that is manning every stage is very important. You can't blame the INEC commissioner, blame the REC and say you are the one who is doing this. The presiding officer, all the officers, the Nigerian, the security agencies, they are all over the place this morning, and I met, a constituents of many security agencies. I think we all need to do our duty. I've met a police officer before. When somebody was trying to monitor a voter, he told the person to get out, move away from there. And those are some of the salient things of us being responsible. So at all levels, whether you are the police, you are the citizen, you are the presiding officer, you are wherever you are the REC, or whoever you are, be ready to be a citizen.
Right.
Stand up right for Nigeria.
Right. Thank you, madam, for that. We have updates coming from Abuja from our correspondent, Larry Lasisi. But before we get that, we have a comment from someone who monitored the election in Buhari Area Council.
No.
Someone
comment on X.
From X, Festus Akinboyewa. He says those insisting on real-time electronic transmission of election results, particularly some civil society organizations, seem more driven by their own interest than by practical realities. Even a quick online search shows that countries like the UK still experience significant internet connectivity challenges, especially in the rural areas. Yet we behave as though our own infrastructure is flawless. It makes little sense to demand a system that depends on perfect connectivity when we know our network is far from consistent.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Larry Lasisi, our correspondent, colleague, is waiting somewhere right now to give us an update. Hello, Larry. What's the update? Where are you?
Oh, I am in the FCT. I am in Karu, in a junior secondary school in Karu. And this place happens to also be a rec center, which means that this is where a lot of the materials that were deployed to the polling units around this area were more or less deployed. It was from here, that's what I'm trying to say. And I got here 6 a.m., a little after 6 a.m., and I can tell you here was busy. There were buses, tricycles, personnel, security men, ad hoc staff, all running around trying to make sure that they get everything ready and they move out on time. Eventually, I think the last unit left around after 8. So after that, here was a little bit better. But this place is also unique, and I can tell you that it's one of the busiest places I've been in all the time I've been covering elections. It appears we have about 10 polling units in this center. You can see one polling unit behind me here. Yes, and very close to it on my left is another polling unit. And I can't take you all the way around, but this is how they are. They're like beside each other, one by each other, and there are like 10 of them in this junior secondary school where I am right now. As I can tell, from the point we started, that's by 8:30 a.m., they were lucky. They didn't have to go anywhere. They were here. So they were already set up. They made sure from the point they came here, they got their materials, they started setting up. And so they've been set. But between that 8:30 a.m. and now, we've not really seen a lot of voters come out. Just a trickle of people
I think one person is about to take his own right now. On this pulley on my left, you would be able to see somebody is being checked there. But that might be, it appears as the first voter that is not an agent that is being registered to vote. So we're here, everything is calm, the security officers are here, and everything is calm, and we're hoping this is how it goes to the end of the process. The only thing I think would like to be better is that more people should come out and vote.
Well, hopefully that will happen, Larry, but what's your reading of the people's reaction to the public holiday declared yesterday at the FCT and the, should I say, lockdown until 6 p.m. today?
Okay, well, I think from yesterday, for those of us that are in the FCT, we didn't observe much restriction. At least for those of us who, the walk free holiday or whatever did not affect us. We were at work, and we worked till late in the evening, and movement was still very clear and very free as much as possible. So to a large extent, it appears people have been going about their business freely. This morning also, people are moving around. So I don't think that restriction of movement has been enforced as well as it could have been. So for me, I haven't spoken to the majority of the people here who are on election duty. But for the other people that I've seen on the roads as I've come, we haven't had much restriction as of yet.
Right, and talking about that restriction, Larry, the critics argue that, security measures and these restrictions are to suppress turnout in a cosmopolitan city like Abuja. In your opinion, as a journalist and, covering elections in Abuja, because you've been there for a while, do you think the restrictions are justifiable? Since you say it doesn't seem that it's been enforced, they believe that voters will be suppressed. Have you seen anything of that sort today?
No, nothing of that sort. People are walking around. People are going about their duties. And and their businesses.
It's their duty, yes.
As far as I'm, duty, please. I'll say there's not been restriction of any sort, and I would like to believe that people can go about their businesses. As regards the restriction, covering council elections, chairmanship elections in the FCT, I think this is the first time we'd have 8 p.m. the day before elections and have that to be restricted. But I'm not sure what the reasons are, what the reasons the authorities have, which is making them feel that they needed to take that step. But I think the important thing is for those who want to vote, the polling units are close to their houses. They don't have to go far. So we do not expect that there will be any restriction that will stop people from coming out to vote.
All right, well, Larry, we trust that you give us more updates as you get information. Thank you so much for your reporting. Don't worry, we'll bring you more from time to time on this program. Remember, we also mentioned to you that there is Kano on one side, there is Rivers on one side as well. Anyway, back to the couple we're speaking with on this particular subject matter. Well, there is that issue of electronic transmission that we discussed. Festus Akimboyewa made an input. But there is an update of sorts. This is Tola Skittish Money also on X saying, hacking is not justified as a reason to not transmit election results. A hacked result can be verifiable with the manual method. It is just flipping the evidence mode. Rather than getting the electronic version to prove the manual, use the manual to validate the electronic. Mr. Awag, do you agree?
I'm not a civic tech expert, so I really get restrained in dabbling into the conversation about hacking or no hacking. But what I do know for sure is that there is nowhere you can surrender completely your processes to technology. If you do that, you are calling for fiasco. And that is why, like I said, what a lot of attention is being paid to result management process. And result management process is 80% interest of partisans, the politicians. The results are important to them. The other processes are not such important. And that's why you see that out of close to 100 and close to 130 clauses of amendment, we are fixated on 63E. Results, as important as that is, we need to pay attention to how the behavior or the misbehavior of the politicians. And I keep saying that 60-70% of the shenanigans that happens in our electoral process are done by these politicians. And because we give them a lot of comfort, we don't pay attention to their business. Just look at ordinary congresses that are going on right now in some political parties. The governors in most states have already ambushed that process. And if your primary process is bad, the desperation from that primary process will spill into your secondary process. So the primary process, Nigerians need to begin to pay attention to our leadership recruitment process, which is conducted by the politicians. The politicians are the first election management body. The elections they conduct do not survive any kind of integrity test. They buy votes, they pay delegates, they do all sorts of things, but we don't pay enough attention. The people in the Senate and the House of Representatives have installed the electronic voting machine since 2011 or thereabout. They've not been able to use it. So you see people standing and shouting yeah in 2025. There is something that is not sitting well about all of this. The politicians in our country are the ones that are completely absent from reform. So when we pay too much attention on uploads, transfer, transmission, they are excited about it in my view, and this is my honest view. It will help litigants. It will help people who want to go to court. If we get the process right, if INEC logistics, they open polls on time, accreditation happens when it should happen, voting happens when it should happen, proper sorting is done, the active party agent is following up all of this process. When results are manipulated from the polling unit, how does he get into the upload if there's an active, effective party agent on ground who is truly a member of that political party?
Yes.
Let me tell you what happens in the polling unit, and if you move around, you will find out that most of the people who act as party agents are not even members of those political parties. They are procured. And when their so-called supervisors come, what they ask them is, Kunchi Abinchi, have you eaten? Have you divided? Has the money been given to you? There is no organic relationship between the party agent and the supervisor. Who has responsibility?
I think you're already asking us, Mr. Wagu, you're already asking the political parties to rewrite their books on this matter, which makes a world of sense, because they blow back, so to speak, in the aftermath of the 2023 elections is something to go by. And there are those who believe that there is a particular political party that said they won the elections, but they didn't have their party agents in more than half
of the polling units.
But here we are. Well, Madam Obi, very quickly, your last words on this conversation.
I want to say a big thank you. I say well done to the media for what they have been able to do so far on this journey. much as we are not satisfied with what has happened in terms of the level of the ambiguity, which is still adding to whatever they're doing. We are here, we are monitoring, we are observing the election today, and we'll continue to see how we can give hope to the hopeless. Nigeria is one of the most beautiful countries, and I believe in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Let's believe in our country and take hold.
All right. Thank you very much for your time this morning. With the lanyard on you, I know that you're going straight to the field from the studio. NLB is former country director, Action Aid, and executive director, NLB Center for Development, as well as Mr. Ezenwanwagu, executive director, Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center in Africa. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Now, we know that at some point, the area councils in the FCT, there is that advocacy on the parts of some people to make them full-fledged local government centers, or local government administrations, or local government councils on their own. And that would take us to our next conversation this morning on the this much talked about local government autonomy, you know, and how much of that will bring any development to you and to yours. That's up when we return.
Yes.
Stay with us.
Welcome back. You know, when we started, we talked about 3 elections going on today. The biggest one, of course, is the area council elections in Abuja. Of course, we also have by-elections in Kano and Rivers. And one of the little updates, although I can say it as big. It's little, but it's big. From the by-elections in Rivers, in Ahoda, in Rivers State, is that our correspondent monitoring the election says there are no voters coming out. There's nobody voting. Trickle, even trickle is much, but he said there's hardly anyone coming out to vote.
Guess what?
And so,
at the end of the day, results will be declared.
Even if it's 1 vote. Oh my goodness.
Whatever you do, results will be declared.
And we said it, if you don't vote, you have voted. If you don't participate, you have participated. So come on.
Please. Anyway, Mr. Wago was correcting us the difference between voter apathy and voter turnout.
Yeah.
Okay. You have collected your PVC. That's not apathy. You have collected it.
It's
part of the process. But to now turn out, to use it, it's like buying air ticket and you don't travel.
Yeah.
You forfeit it after some time. So, anyway, to the next conversation.
Yes, of course. We have...
because we are employing people into local governments now with this election.
Yes.
And you know what I always talk about? It is biting me small.
Don't let it bite
How
too
much has been budgeted, for instance, for the next general elections?
Exactly.
Something, almost $1 trillion,
yeah,
from what I gathered. Now, if people don't come out to vote, how much of that money has been wasted?
Yeah.
We print X. Okay, for instance, INEC could have printed at the very least 1.68 million ballot papers for the FCT elections.
Yeah.
Just for the FCT elections. Now, if just 1,000 or maybe just 10% of that number comes out to vote, we have wasted 90%.
Yeah.
That's what it comes to, and I hope that we all can educate ourselves about that.
And it also brings me back to what we said earlier. It's one thing to organize elections. It's another thing to galvanize people to come out to vote. And we said before, it's not just the job of INEC, it's the job of everybody. The civil society, the people that are being...
the voters,
the people that are being political parties, and even the candidates.
Yes.
Without inducement, you go out and say, come out to vote, regardless of who you are voting for. That's me. Regardless of the party you want to go, just come out first. Come out first. Oh, right. Visuals from Rivers State, where there are hardly any voters.
There are more INEC officials than voters.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, the paper ought to be...
But it's early day yet. We still have up till 2:30 p.m., I think.
Okay.
To see.
It's River State, not Kano. Anyway. And even Kano has their own elections as well. But we'll come back to that. We have this conversation on the local government autonomy.
Yes, and we have John Oloyede, legal practitioner, who joins us in the studio.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks
and of course, we
me.
also have a Professor of Political Science and International Relations at the Nasarawa State University, Kefi Jidofo Adibe, who joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning. So we've been talking about local government elections, area council elections in Abuja, and the process.
Equivalent of local government, even though they are not fully, they are not called that.
So more or less same thing. Let me start from you in Abuja. You know, what do you think of the process? Right. What do you think of the process so far? Those elections in the FCT, and I ask you that as a build-up of, you know, the conversation we're going to have about the autonomy of local government autonomy as we get to that.
Well, thank you very much. There are several ways you can look at this. One possible interpretation of what you people call apathy there is, well, people do not really believe in the process. People don't believe that their votes will count. That's a common thing people will put, argument people put forward. But there is also another layer to it, which is that the whole idea of local government, I mean, in many places, are not very strongly embedded in people's consciousness. You don't see local government officials very much around. You see the governors, you see the president. So that's part of the argument of many people who believe that there should be 2 tiers of government, at least at the fiscal level of sharing revenues. And then state governments should then be free to do further subdivisions if they want to. Because let's face for it, even there is no unlike what you have in Schedule 4, where you say this is exclusive list for the federal government, or this is the concurrent between what the state and the federal can do, you know, collaboratively, or if they want to do. There is nothing that you say is exclusive to the local government in our constitution. Yes, they can go to, they say they license for, they name the streets, they do health centers, primary school and all that. But if any problem arises in any of those sectors, the person people expect or will blame will be the governor, not the local government. So they do not have that kind of visibility. Not just that visibility, but even if they want to, it's not something that is so strongly embedded that it is their responsibility. And then there's also the idea that, well, they are very subordinate or subordinated to the state governments. And despite the rulings of the Federal Supreme Court in July 2024, giving them autonomy and the rest of them, that they still remain appendages. And, you know, in unitary systems of government, the basic difference between subunits in a federation and subunits in a unitary system of government is that the subunits in a federation are directly answerable to the people. And it's not enough being directly answerable to the people. It's not just enough through the conduct of elections. It is also to the extent to which they are perceived in people's consciousness to be so. So you can see that people, in popular imagination, people look at it in terms of state and federal government. It's only when it comes to fiscal federalism, when starting from 1976 and then in 1999 Constitution and others, that the issue of local governments came into being. And even then, even before the Supreme Court ruling, okay, apart from the interregnum, the 1999 to 2001, when money was given to them directly, it was only from the time of this Supreme Court ruling in July people started to see how they are going to manage their autonomy. Do they really have the capacity, to execute some of those things they believe the Constitution says they will? So it's not really, and then of course, there are fallouts from some of the political happenings around us. The speed with which the issue of electronic voting was assented despite dissensions by the civil society groups. All these probably will contribute to voter apathy. But I can tell you, as one of you pointed out, result may be announced, and many people will not be surprised even where votes did not take place.
Well, there are many issues to raise with that, Prof. And I'm sure that Mr. Oyedele Oluyede has his own comments on that as well. But quickly, let's go to Rivers. We hinted at the fact that in Rivers State, it's election day, but it seems that there are no elections. Well, Charles Oporum is on standby to give us some updates. Charles.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Ayo. Yes, indeed. By-elections are happening here in Rivers State in two constituencies. One is Ahoda East constituency, and the other one is Kana constituency. Now, those local governments, Ahoda East and Kana, are on two opposite sides of the state. So currently, I'm speaking to you from Ahoda East. I'm speaking from Obilu community, Ward 9, Unit 1. So that's where I'm speaking to you from. Interestingly, on our way here, because this particular area is up the east-west road on the way to, they're going from Port Harcourt to Bayelsa, coming from Bayelsa to Port Harcourt. This community is up the road inside. So on our way here, we kept stopping and checking different polling units where elections are supposed to, or rather voting is supposed to be happening. And, the INS officials, the ad hoc staff were there, security available. Some places like behind me, you can see observers, independent observers, local observers rather, are also here. But something is lacking. There are almost no voters. Ayo, this is the 7th polling unit we've seen on our way down here. And at every single polling unit, the story is constant. Everything is ready, but there are no voters. It was just in one polling unit somewhere, Ward 8, Unit 9, at the school there, where the INEC staff complained that they did not have any tables, any chairs, and as a result, they couldn't set up. So they kept all their stuff, all their materials on the floor, right there in the school. And when I spoke to one of the community members there, I said, why don't you guys provide like a chair and table for the INEC ad hoc staff? He said they should rent it. And if they are ready, they should bring the money so they can rent to them. And so that is Ward 8, Unit 9. Aside that, in every other community we pass through, INEC staff are ready, materials are ready, but there are almost no voters.
Concerning, I'm going to circle back to you in another 30 minutes, Charles. You visited 7 polling units, you said, and the story is the same.
Yes.
Now,
it's the same thing.
That's definitely very, very, but I have complained, if I can use that term, about the lack of voter awareness, in the build-up to these elections. There's one ongoing in Kano as well. Of course, all over the FCT, there are elections. Do you think there was any significant voter awareness process for this election?
Well, I really wouldn't know, because this is like some sort of inferior community. But from the pillars I have from some of my colleagues and the associates who live in this area, they say there was some kind of campaign. There was some kind of campaign, no matter how small it happened. The reason why I'm even here is because this is even the polling unit of the EC candidate, the one that was anointed by the really hope people. So this is the polling unit, there was some level of awareness around with regard to this particular process. At least we covered the primary both here and in Ghana, and there was very decent turnout. But somehow, today that is the D-Day where they're supposed to come and cast their vote. Look behind. The INEC ad hoc are even looking bored. Yep, they sitting down like that because we got here. And it's in the story all the way down to the 35-minute drive up the east-west coast. It's just been fencing.
Well, there's something funny came to my mind, Charles. Maybe we need to begin to give some kind of incentives to voters. You know, when you want people to come early to your party, you say the first to come will get X. So maybe if we begin to don't even take my word for it.
Sorry, and then another thing, Charles, before we let you go, you know, we also talked about people not knowing those who are representing them. Now, these are by-elections into assemblymen, I think, a House of Assembly. Possibly the people don't even know or care that they're representing them, or possibly they don't even feel their impact anyway. So why are we voting if we don't see or care or know the people that we're voting for? Or if they don't even come around, they don't do any projects, we don't know what they're doing, no community development. Perhaps that's another reason why there's low or no voter turnout, if I can put it that way. Charles.
I mean, yes, interesting. So you may be correct. It's a possibility. It's a possibility because indeed, when people don't actually know and feel the people who represent them, then they could develop some sort of indifference, some sort of apathy, more or less. You know? So it's a possibility. Recall that this particular seat was being occupied by the Right Honorable Edison Chikye, who until he resigned, he was the majority leader or the leader of the House of Assembly at the time before he was appointed as chief of staff to the governor of the state. So this is just an election to seal that particular seat. And then, of course, the one in Ghana, the lawmaker who was representing that particular constituency passed away. And that seat has been vacant since 2023 and it's just being filled as a business. So, but interestingly, you know, to add to your the point you raised, I think River State is a unique state because the impact of both the local government and the assembly members and even the councillors is usually felt. It trickles down to the grassroots. These people tend to hold these government officials at the state and the local government level. They tend to hold town hall meetings with their people. They take requests from their people. You know, and these things the people typically feel the impact. I know that there are chairmen, there are assembly members who have some sort of payroll where they see people who are unemployed in their community because I've seen these things happen. So, so that's like maybe a counter argument, and to tell you that indeed there are people here who feel the impact of their government officials. Okay.
Well, Charles, again, as I said, we'll circle back to you in about 30 minutes.
30 minutes, yeah.
Just to know, you know, how far so far. But thank you so much for your reporting, and please stay safe.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Loede, I really don't want you to get bogged with that one, but I think, you know, it's important. I mean, it's one of those things, those governance issues you like to speak to. The fact that, on the one hand, resources have been dispensed for this process, and but on the other hand, the people who are supposed to spend the money that has been dispensed are not coming out to, should I say, spend the money, use the resources that have been made available. What's your take on that one? Because it's not the first time, it's not the second time. Data shows that between 9 and 11% of voters in the last FCT elections came out to vote. Now, we run the risk of the same thing happening again. Your thoughts?
It's likely to be worse. From the look of things. And you cannot take away the fact that the politicians, they totally eroded the confidence of the people in the electoral process. You see, the way they talk down on people, leading up to these elections, I had cause to listen to the two main parties contending, the principal persons. And the way they talk, it's like the electorate, they don't really matter.
Yeah.
That whatever happens, oh, don't worry. You just do your part, I'll do my part. The other one says, oh, if they mess up, we're going to show them we own this place. How do the Nigerians who are supposed to vote, where do you situate them in that kind of talk? When the two parties are talking as if we don't need voters. And the voters are tired of going out to vote and then they get beaten up get damaged in the process. I mean, year in, year out. Every time politicians talk, they say the largest democracy in Africa. That's what we talk about every time. We don't look at India, which is actually the largest democracy in the world, where they vote, they do it electronically, they do it real time and everything, and people don't really complain about rigging and all that. We don't talk about those ones, but we say we like being the largest in everything. You know, big for nothing. So you see,
no, I take exception to that.
well,
I protest.
Well, you don't have to protest. I know you share my views on that.
I protest.
You see, the truth of the matter is, this is something we all should be sad about, because this is a test run. The Abuja elections, Kano elections, Rivers State elections, there are things that should usher in the new INEC chairman, and then we can see that, okay, maybe there's going to be some change. You talked about 9 to 11%. They may not get 4%. The results may show 20-25%. But what we are seeing on ground is totally different. We should be very sad as Nigerians that we are retrogressing democratically.
Perhaps that also leads to, maybe I go to Prof on this, perhaps that also, raises issues about whether or not we even involve the people in the process. I go back to this issue. People believe that politics is dirty, and consequently, they don't go out to participate in the process as to be the ones that people, join political parties and all of that. And I have this analogy, Prof, and thankfully you are a researcher, so you may be able to identify with it, that if you want to wash a plate in a dirty kitchen, a dirty plate, you have to first of all hold the dirty plate. Automatically, your hand becomes dirty. It's in the process of washing it that your hand gets clean. Now, if people who are clean do not get into politics and they continue to complain that politics is dirty, how is it going to get clean? Now, a lot more resources are going to the local government administrations at a time when we are championing local government autonomy. Now, if we have people who are quote unquote dirty, do we expect them to do clean business?
Well, thank you very much. Is politics dirty?
Yeah.
You have the normative aspect of politics, normative, which is politics as it ought to be, and descriptive politics as it is. The truth is that in descriptive politics, you cannot avoid the fact that, at least, especially in this dispensation, we are running what you can call machine politics. Everything is totalitarian. It's towards, you can see it, everybody is now talking about pleasing the man at the top or pleasing the governor. So in that sense, if you don't have rough edges, or if you do not belong to part of the inner circles, you almost cannot make any headway. And if you are perceived to be against them in machine politics, you may vote, you may express yourself, you may have freedom of expression. What they cannot guarantee you is freedom of expression. So people are being cautious. People are, as I said, people are also delinking from the entire process. So what I theorized somewhere else was that our prayer, given the fact that unless you have some certain rough edges, you can't even get meaningfully involved. Those rough edges include not just having money, but having the muscle to be able to put your fingers in a political furnace and retrieve a mandate if you are given that. Since it requires a level of being rough edges, I then theorize somewhere else that probably we should be waiting for somebody, who will use the ways of the system to get into political power and then commit what you can call class suicide, turn against the system and get radicalized by the system.
Yeah.
Of course, there are people we expected to be good people who go into the system and they get de-radicalized. I don't want to mention names, but at least you know of Prophet Oshiomhole, because he's known as a labor leader. He was wearing khaki and khaki cap, And you see what has happened. In recent times, you will even see him or somebody who looks like him in private jets. You know, I won't like to go into the other aspect of it. But you don't understand what you understand what I mean. It is easy to say let good people go into politics, but there are system dynamics. If no matter how good you are, if you do not operate the way the system, if you want to shake the system too quickly and too fast, the system will swallow you.
Prof, I beg to differ in a sense, in a way. But and here is my analogy.
Okay.
Mr. Olede, you may want to speak to it.
Okay.
Mr. Fashola was president, beg your pardon, was governor in Lagos after a Tinubu governor. And there were things going on at the time. And Fashola said, this is not going to continue any longer. And you can name a number of things like that that happened. There was the system. The system was going in a particular direction. And the fellow came and said, if you don't go in this particular way, there's going to be consequences. And everyone changed significantly at the time. Now, there are those who believe that if that trend had continued, some things that are happening in Lagos today wouldn't be happening. So sometimes it's a function of the individual. I remember, I think it was the Lagos Island local government chairman, Adeniji Adele at the time. He came in, he pretty much told us that local government can do a lot of things. They went into business in the name of Lagos Island local government. He started the first air-conditioned public transport, at least that I saw, in Lagos. People queued to use the gold service at the time. So there are systems, there is no doubt about it. But then don't forget what, this Maxwell that said, everything rises and falls on leadership. Is it a leadership problem, a system problem, or a people problem?
Oh, well, it's a problem that permeates every division in the whole setup. I don't want to ascribe the blame. I'll give the blame to just one setup, one group of people. You talked about Mr. Babatunde Fashola. He was never a career politician. He was different. I'm not saying career politicians they tend to be bad. That's not what I'm saying. But there are always flashes in the pan. Oshiomhole was ordinarily not a career politician, but he had always been a politician in the labor union. He knew how to play politics.
Yes.
He just transformed.
Into
and
regular
incidentally,
politics,
the system he found himself in, just gave him grounds to rediscover himself. That's the word I will use. So yes, we have leadership problem. As we normally say here, the system cannot produce. We are all Nigerians. The leaders we have, they come from within our ranks, so they cannot really be better than we are, because ultimately they have tasted life all around us, and so when they get up there, they're Nigerians. That does not mean, like Prof said, Prof, you cannot disagree with Prof. He said something. He said, we can only pray. I'm tired of praying. He said we can, but I would not begrudge him. He said we can only pray that the system would turn up somebody who would commit what they call class suicide. He will come in and decide to use the system against the system, and then we transform for the better. So really, yes, the Nigerian people, number one, you never stop seeing them fighting to collect bags of rice, beans, all these things. It happened recently. Yeah, well, we saw distribution of the same kind of things. All these city boys and the village boys, they started another kind of campaign, and they were giving people the same thing, and people turned out. If today in Rivers or anywhere, Kano, Abuja, there was the promise of rice, beans, or anything,
okay,
there are people who come out, like you said.
Incentives for voting.
Incentives. But, well, the Electoral Act says you cannot begin to give people things at the polling booths. Okay. Otherwise, maybe that will change this scenario for the better. People will come when they know that in Ekiti, I think in 2015 is Sonwoko
Sebe.
Vote and cook.
You understand?
That's the smallest enclave for voting in Nigeria. And yet, people turned out to come and collect maybe 500, 1,000 just so as to vote. And when you talk about it, like you were talking about whether, I mean, why good people are not coming out. You know, good people. People always challenge me. When I complain, say, look, you two go and contest. I can't win any election. It's not possible for me to win.
Why?
Because the system has a way of killing. We are like a virus.
When I hear system, I apologize, Mr. Luidi. When I hear system,
Yes.
I hear people. Systems are made up of people.
Yes. Good, bad. But in Nigeria, predominantly bad people. With all due
Systems
respect.
are made up of people.
Well, I kind of understand what he's saying, you know, because what it is that if he contests, possibly there'll be politics in the party that he wants to contest in. If he goes as a independent candidate, you know, as we said earlier, the political parties, the food is already ready. They just need people to come and start seeing as if they want to eat it.
The money bags control
the food is, for in the political system, the food is ready. That's what I think.
Well,
it's there so that they don't say, oh, we are ready, we have this candidate. We just need the people to come out and vote for them so that we can now complete the political cycle. I think that's what's
I
going
get
on.
that, and I think I understand what Mr. Luidi is saying, but I'm also saying that, okay, well, Prof, maybe you may want to speak to this now, because in 2019, young people came out and said, look, you know what, we want to take the nation, not too young to run. I hoped that some miracle would happen, and there will be a marshalling of the young people themselves to say, we're going for this young candidate because of what this fellow has done and what that fellow has done, but we couldn't organize ourselves. Perhaps, Prof, that is what is being exploited by these politicians that you're talking about. We can't find a common voice among ourselves as a people. Now, systems are made up of people. Institutions are built or crumbled by people. What should be the marshalling agenda? What is it that what should make someone to say, you know what, I'm going in this particular direction? Because systems are made up of people. And we can't say a system is bad and not smear the entire people who are working there. The people who are in government today were not in government 35 years ago. Guess what? The people who were complaining 35 years ago are in government today, Prof.
Well, let me help with what you call the system. You can call them the environmental variables, which is the interaction of what you call the people and the environment. I'll give you just one example. A friend of mine wanted to run for governor. He mobilized young people. The first day they came around, he spoke all the, very normative speech he made. People praised him, very articulate and very analytical. At the end of the day, they fixed another meeting for another day. And he didn't do anything. He told them, thank them for coming. When they were supposed to meet another time, only a few people showed up. And the reason why many others didn't show up, they said, did not have capacity. And that capacity is a Nigerian language. It's what you can call Nigerian factor. In other words, he did not give them anything. And they did not see any headway they could make with him. There were expectations that he was not able to meet. That is also part of the system. System is not just the people or institutions, just like institutions. Any practice that has endured over time is called an institution. It also becomes a system. So what do we do? I also permit me also to disagree with you about this young. The problem we have is not necessarily with the young. We can actually argue, and the young people will forgive me if I say that most of the problems we've had, you can attribute to the young leadership. The First Republic, how old were they? Tafawa Balewa was in 50, among the oldest. Shagari became a minister at 25. Obasanjo became, Moritala was 38. Gowon was 29 when he became head of state. In the Second Republic, most of the governors were under 40. So it's not necessarily about age. And that will also bring us back to our environmental factors. There are areas, there are countries where the elderly, you see Malaysia, for example, where the elderly people are able to give something. And that's also because the institutions are already established. Again, when I say institutions, I'm not necessarily mentioning of organizations and contrivances. I'm talking about laws and rules that have endured over time, ways of doing things that have endured over time. They become institutionalized. That's what we say. So in such a way, your age may not necessarily matter. But to come and believe that not too young to run once you're in the 30s, can I ask you, Bello was the youngest in his among the governors. Could you by any imagination call him among the best performers? No. So we have to look beyond all these catchphrases of not too young to run or too old. Of course, I do believe there should be an age where I know that no matter how you want to run away from it, the problems will start weighing on you. Like we are discussing in the US now about cognitive decline.
We'll come to that, a number of those others. But Prof, one challenge that's played in my head now is, and you talked about, habits, or rather, our way of life, or ways of life that become institutionalized. Prof, there are cultures or cultural practices in our nation, in various areas of our lives, that have become, if I'm going to use your word, institutionalized. There are some must-dos and don't-dos. You don't, for instance, in the Southwest, you don't enter an environment where you see elders and you don't greet them. They will ask for the name of your father.
Yes.
And it's a culture that permeates the entirety of our nation. If we have such systems, what is it that's making it difficult to institutionalize positive political practices? We are 60-something plus years old as a nation. We can't be blaming the UK anymore, can we?
No. Let me just also tell you that cultures, culture, you define it as a way of life. The totality of people's way of life. As people's way of life changes, the culture also changes. Sometimes one lags behind the other. Let me take the example of what you mentioned. Most cultures, especially in agrarian cultures that we are emerging from peasant agrarian societies, will show some kind of respect. As you become industrialized and you move into what they call post-industrial age, those cultures leave you behind. That's why we complain about our young people now, and we're saying, what has gone wrong with our cultures? I give you an example. If you go to Europe and you go to prostrate, do dobale to a white man, he will look at you as, what is this person doing? Because the culture is not in alignment. So if you go to the Southeast, for example, and you dobale, they will say you are pretending. But they want you to shake them, but not firmly, and but just don't look them in the face. All these cultural things also move. The same way we are talking about our practices. Normative one, this is what we expect it to be, and this is what we are preaching. And there is a gap between the descriptive culture and the normative culture. What we want to do and what we ought to do. Okay. There will always be a gap. And I believe that there comes a point where we are able to get that person that will then radicalize the system.
Absolutely.
And move us more in the direction of what we want to do.
You've cited the example of Europe and all of that. There are some things you can't do in India. There are some things that have not changed in China. And we go to these places to buy stuff and bring here. How come we can't do it ourselves? But don't even answer that question. I'm sure Mr. Loyede has his comments. But Joke is taking us to Abuja one more time.
Certainly. Our correspondent, Larry Lassisi, is back. He's been monitoring the area council elections in Abuja. He joined us earlier to give us updates, talked about low participation, but he's back now to give us more. Larry, great to have you back. Hopefully you have more news for us and of better participation in this election.
Okay, Joke, yes, I do. I can tell you that there's been a lot more voters coming out, and we've spoken to some of them. But more importantly, we've had the pleasure of having at this center the police commissioner in charge of election monitoring, and I have him here with me, and he's going to be talking to us about what he's observed, because beyond me that have been here, he appears to have been going around and he said he's spoken to people. So I would like us to hear from him. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir. So please,
thank you very much.
What you've observed as you've been going around.
Thank you very much. You know, just as we are seeing here, we've seen that there is orderliness in the voting process, and the same thing we are seeing here is the same situation report that I've been receiving from across all the polling units across the area councils in the FCT. And just as we have seen here, we have seen massive deployment of police and other security agencies. This is the operational order as approved by the Inspector General of Police, IGP DNPM, that we have massive deployment of police officers. And this is helping a lot in making sure that the voting is going on smoothly.
Would like to understand from you, what's your observation as regards the issue of the restriction of movement? How have you observed that in terms of allowing people come out for?
Well, if we check the usual movements of residents in FCT on a normal day compared to what is happening today, we are going to see that there is drastic in movement, especially vehicular movement. And citizens have been adhering to this directive, but there are some few cases, of course, which is a natural thing in situations like this. You always see some few people who want to test the will of the law. And such people, such vehicles, motorbikes, they have been impounded, which I've seen myself, and we have been getting that report. The only set of people that are allowed to embark on vehicular movement for now are security agencies, the media, electoral monitors, people on essential services, then if there's any hospital emergency. Otherwise, anybody going to vote is expected to just walk across to the polling unit from their residence, cast their vote, and go back.
Now, for a lot of people, this is not the time they get worried. It's as the election progresses, when we get to the issue of counting and then the results, what's the arrangement made to make sure that the way it started smoothly now, it continues to the end of the process?
Okay, at this point, let me state that the operational order approved for this election by the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kadegbetokun, is based on two theories. We have the PAT model, that's the problem analysis triangle, and then we also have the deterrence theory. You know, so based on that, based on our analysis, we chose these two theories to take care of this election, and based on that, adequate provision has been made for every step. For instance, the security arrangement we have for Karo is different from what we are putting in place in Maitama, is different from what we are putting in place in Kuje, is different from what we are putting in place in Buhari. So all the aspects, all the period of this election has been adequately taken care of. We'll be back here when counting starts. Then you will also see that there will be a slight difference in the security measures we are having now with what we are going to have at that time, up to when the results will be announced. So if at all I want to add anything, let people come out, cast their vote, go back to their house.
And rest easy. Thank you very much. That is CP Abayomi Shogunle. Is the CP in charge of election monitoring. And you heard him there. Everything has been put in place to ensure that elections go smoothly from the beginning of the process to the end of the process. I also like to add, Ayo, that between the time I spoke last and now, we've had more voters come out, even though there has been some complaint that it appeared the polling units were moved from where they were during the last time's elections held in Karu, and some people went to the old place and were looking for their names there, couldn't find it, and had to be going round trying to find their polling units. Just as the CP said, because there was freedom, because there's freedom of movement, they could walk around and search, but it took them a little time, and we're observing that now there are more people here coming to come and cast their votes, and we're assuming they found out and understood that this is where their polling units are.
Well, I was going to ask you that question, if there has been any marked difference or improvement, thank you, in the number of voters, and thank you very much for that reporting, Larry. Thank you so much. And I know that you give us more as time goes by. Well, Mr. Loyede, back to the conversation around local government autonomy. We've been talking about the system itself.
Yes.
And we've been touting local government autonomy for quite a while now.
Yeah.
And from where you sit, what inhibition do you think stands in the way of full activation of this local government autonomy thing?
Is the political will to put into effect the wordings of the Constitution. Now, local government autonomy has been here with us for upwards of 50 years. Since 1976. That's when the 3 tiers were defined. And it is sad that 2026, we're still talking about it. Because, taking it from where we talked about systems, about institutional democracy, I think the problem we've always had is institutionalizing democracy in Nigeria. There's a difference between culture, the kind of culture prostrating, breathing, and all those things, and making things so. We got independence from the United Kingdom, from Great Britain, and it is instructive to note that they have an unwritten constitution. It's not something written down. It's something that's been going on over the years, and it is in the hearts of the people, their constitution. Then we are practicing presidential system of government, and it is just normal that the local governments have been defined. We have 774 local governments. The constitution clearly spells it out. When Buhari was there, he signed what they called, I think, Executive Order number 10 to ensure that monies meant for the local governments get there directly. In fact, he said the monies should go directly there. Of course, some governors went to court in 2022, and the Supreme Court said he went beyond the limits of his powers by putting in place this Executive Order number 10. Executive Order number 10 did not spell out anything new other than what the Constitution said. Now, then, the Tinubu comes in, and the Attorney General of the Federation, when the matter was filed, I said it here some time back, that I didn't think it was necessary to file another case at the Supreme Court to define how monies should get to local government.
It is already written.
It's already written. That it was a surplusage, it was unnecessary. But yes, the matter went to court, and what did the Supreme Court say? The Supreme Court agreed essentially with what President Buhari did, which is, number one, Section 162, I think the most important section in regard to that case was this 162, 2, 3, 5, and 6, which talked about an amount has been allocated to each state, and the states are supposed to be agents for the purpose of warehousing the monies meant for the local governments in the respective states, but they are just to be agents. But what happens is when
not just to be agents, but to also add to it.
No, they are supposed to. There's supposed to be joint account,
yes,
local government and state. And when the money gets there, now at the federal allocation level, the amount meant for the local government is clearly defined. The amount meant for the state is defined, but the money goes into this joint account. When it gets there, that's where the magic starts. So what I'm saying is, then the Supreme Court now said, oh, look, because the governors raised a lot of issues. Number one, this is an abuse of process, all sorts of clogs in the wheel. But what happened? eventually the Supreme Court said, look, the money is defined, money for local government. There's no way the state should hold on to it. They should just warehouse the money. Once it gets to them, take your own and let them have their own. You are not supposed to now say, okay, sign that you collected 100 when you are giving them just 50. Because what happens is the governor then takes half from each local government, gives them, tells them you can do this. Well, then the Supreme Court also said that because the states now said, in interpreting the Constitution, the word shall, that is imperative, that the money must go to the state, and that there is no way that the federal government can pay money directly to the local government, because that's what the Attorney General of the Federation wanted to define. That can we be paying directly? And the governor said no. Then the Supreme Court, AGBIM, JSC, then said, look, we have to look at the purposive intention of the drafters of the Constitution. When you are interpreting a Constitution, you have to look at the goodness that they sought to promote. What is the golden rule? Not literal interpretation. If we are going literal, shall is okay. Shall means the money must go to the state. And then that means federal government will be going contrary to the Constitution by paying the money directly to local government. So that was their contention. But the justice said, well, in this particular instance, we are interpreting the Constitution. The whole idea is the local government is independent. And the money is meant for local government. They are for developmental purposes. The purpose for which local governments were created is so that development can go to the grassroots directly, not necessarily through constituency projects where people now use money for different things. And so the Supreme Court said, let the federal government, central bank can pay money directly to local. But the local government that will get that money directly must be a local government that is made up of people who have been properly elected, not appointed caretaker committees by the governors, because it will defeat the purpose. Now, what happened? So, Executive Order 10, some people went to court, scrapped. Then, AGF went to court, upheld. And afterwards, the governors then went back to Tinubu, political will, political solution to something that has been determined by the Constitution, interpreted by the Supreme Court. The only other person that could have interpreted otherwise would be God. And that's when we are all dead. Do you understand? So they now said, oh, we have to now have elections. That's what we are saying. We have not been able to. So they said, give us some months to have elections. Then, presidency set up committee. What happens when the government sets up committee? Is to kill resolve. And that is what has happened. Most governors are still not implementing. The monies are not going there. Why should a committee misinterpret the pronouncements of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? That's my constituency. I cannot agree with what is going on.
Prof, you have a take on that?
Thank you very much. I'll start by politely not agreeing very much with the premise. We assume, not always very right, that if the local governments are financially autonomous, then development will come at the local level. Yeah. Very well. There is a problem here. In federalism, theories of federalism, we make a distinction between what we call dual federalism and cooperative federalism. To give you an example, in the US, a big part of where we, borrow some of these ideas, a big part of the problem the US faced after their revolution was what they call the Articles of the Confederation, which was ratified in 1871. It made the units so powerful that the US government was even unable to raise enough money to pay for the debts it accumulated during the revolution. So began, influenced by the Federalist Party at that time, they started a new move, another move. So the delegates that came out for the Constitutional Convention in 1787 voted for now more federation, more for a collaboration. Where am I saying this? The whole idea behind state-local government joint account is cooperative federalism. That we do not, in dual He said each is within its sphere, independent. You don't meddle in the other area. And that's exactly also what we had in the First Republic. More of so that each was so independent that the center was very weak. If you get down to the state level, the idea is that the local governments will be so small and weak, and many of the things that they were supposed to do are also the functions of the state. They were to provide healthcare facilities. The state has to do that. Okay, the state will build state roads. They have to name it. So the idea behind state joint account was a good one. It was in the implementation. I'm not among those who jump into saying, give this local government all the money and they will perform wonders. Experience did not bear this out. Between 1999 and 2001, when the money was being paid directly into the account, we did not see that magic happening. Instead, some of them were buying SUVs. You know, I wouldn't say squandering, I wouldn't use that strong word. But we didn't believe that competence was there. I would have preferred, and that has been what I've been campaigning for, or canvassing for, that only 2 units of the federation should be, you know, share the revenue, not the local government. Two tiers of government should share the revenue, and then the state can then be able to devolve, you know, power as it pleases. Yes, you brought out the case of India. There are 2 again. India is a big country. It was 2 units that were sharing revenue until I think 1992 or thereabout, when they have the Decentralization Act and brought in the 3rd tier formally. So I'm not one of those people who believe that once you give the local governments their money directly, the magic will happen at the local level.
You know, the challenge that I've had
so
with that, yeah, my sincere apologies. We're running out of time. The challenge.
Can I land?
Okay, please
can
go
I
ahead.
Land?
Please go ahead.
So I see the point. I see the normative aspect of saying that, look, if we give them money at the local level, then they will be able to implement this and that. Okay, the money they have and what the state does. State has 26-point-something%, and they have 20%. It's almost impossible, in my own opinion, for them to have their own money.
Clearly, Prof. and Mr. Olede, this is a conversation we will have until we don't need to have it anymore. Because, I mean, I have seen in this same country, in the Third Republic, a very, very active local government system. I have seen it. In the First Republic, I was a toddler, and I saw, well, environmental sanitation officers come to homes. These are local government, you know, officers and all of that. But both of you are standing on your podiums, and I thank you very much for your time this morning. Mr. John Oloyede is a legal practitioner. We appreciate your time today, as well as Professor Jido Fadibe, Professor of Political Science and International Relations at Nasarawa State University, Kefi. Maybe, Prof, we need to go to the Senate to canvass his position.
Maybe. Well, I'm more than happy to go and analyze. I will support you to go to Senate.
No, thank you. I enjoy this Senate that I am in right
Welcome back. We'll take a slight break from those elections. Of course, we'll bring you updates as they come. But
interestingly, the people who are canvassing for votes are fathers.
Yeah, mostly fathers.
Yeah,
mostly.
Not that there are no mothers who wants to be local government chairman, but
yes, but that's when we talk about the percentage between the people, the women that are in political office or that seek political office is very minute when it comes to
so most of them are fathers. So yes, just imagine that the fathers themselves, they need to heal.
Heal what, politically or which one? Emotion. But they have to be emotionally strong before they can go for politics.
Let's face our conversation.
It's part of it. It's all part of it. So we're talking about our lifestyle segments, broken fatherhood, healing broken fatherhood. What is that, you might say? It's a lot, really, and as Aya said, is a big deal because it's a lot of things really wrapped into one. It's a process of overcoming emotional, psychological, or spiritual wounds caused by an absent, abusive, dysfunctional father figure. It involves acknowledging pain, breaking cycles of generational trauma, and then reclaiming one's identity through self-compassion, forgiveness, and establishing healthy relationships or spiritual grounding, build a new, secure future. That's a big deal.
Okay.
It's a whole lot.
Let's just plunge into the conversation.
Yes, certainly. And we have Kingsley Obom Ebulim, a parenting coach. He joins us again. Thank you.
I joined you before.
I know.
Wait a minute. Let me take the father first out. She owns this discussion because even from 9 o'clock she's been saying it's a big
It's
deal.
not a big deal.
It is.
It is a big deal.
But
it's one of the reasons why you have to beg for electronic live transmission of results.
See, we have circled back to our election conversation. Can you see? We've circled back to
No
it.
healthy father, no father who is whole, would not want credible election.
Yeah.
You don't need to beg for
Yes,
it.
because it affects the children's future.
That's a word.
That's just
so
it.
if you are damaged, you will naturally feel you're doing people a favor by opting for credible election.
you yourself, you need to go and join a political party.
He doesn't
but
need to.
before that, define a broken father. The reason I'm asking that is so that there is context to the understanding. I know who a father is. A father is someone who has a child, whether biologically or whatever. But
So who is caring for a child?
A father is someone who knows he has a child. Because there are some people, there are many fathers who don't know.
This definition is
Abi?
a caricature.
Is huge, big, right?
So she's saying that some people don't know that they
don't know that they are
True.
fathers.
And some
Honestly.
fathers don't know that they don't have children. But who is a broken father?
A broken father is that father that really needs to heal, and you see the evidence of that need in the way he parents his own son.
Heal from what?
Does he know?
Well, most times he doesn't really know until you confront him with the facts.
So he doesn't know he needs healing.
Yeah. But there are clear indications of dysfunction in the way he functions, in the way he carries his responsibility as a father. A broken father is that father who defines fatherhood as merely provision. Once he has provided,
that's it.
He throws money at his kids, at problems in the house. So money substitutes for his presence, or like they say, he mistakes presence for presence. You know what I mean? Presence for presence. So he will rather give you gifts than make himself available. He's emotionally absent. He can't even hold meaningful conversation with his children. And this is a result of how he was raised. So a broken father is a father who is continuing the legacy, quote unquote, the unhealthy legacy of a damaged relationship that he had with his father. And he doesn't even know, like Aya said, he doesn't even know that there is a dysfunction somewhere, and he's merely just prolonging or extending the cycle.
Okay. Joke said it's a really big deal.
Oh yeah.
You have been in the field. How bad is it?
1 out of every 4 boys is dealing with an absent father syndrome.
Absent is in physical or emotional absence?
Absent father syndrome is, it could either be the man is physically present but emotionally absent.
Absent, yeah.
It is either he's physically present or he's abusive. He is physically present but he's distant. He cannot connect with this boy. Like I said, we take it for granted when we hold conversations. Some people who are conversing with you when they get home, they shut down. Yeah, some of the experts you see on TV, when they get home, they can't hold conversations with their children. And what kind of conversations can you hold with a child? Not, Jide, how are you? Fine. How was school? Fine. Have you read a book? Fine. Okay. Have you eaten? Fine, Daddy. That's not conversation.
So 20%.
That's call and response.
I thought that was only for choirs. So 20% is that what you're saying? 25%.
Yes. In Nigeria and Africa, we have, it's close to 65%.
Wow.
Yes. If you extrapolate, you know, so in in a room of 10 boys, about 4 of them, or 3 of them, have an absent father, absent father.
Some of them are also struggling with one thing like that or the other.
Oh yeah, you know, the physical indication or indicators of this absence, you know, of course, you have them in sexual dysfunction. You have them in identity crisis. You have them in seeking for validation, sometimes from ladies. You have low issues of low self-esteem. You have issues that relating to issues of self-concept. And what is the self-concept question? The self-concept question is that, who do you think you are? Who the hell are you? Your father provides an answer for that question. It's not you. It is based on his relationship with you that you can, you know, muster the gumption, the audacity to say, I am XYZ.
Are fathers aware of how impactful they are on their kids?
No. I mean, emphatically, no, they are not. Because if they are, you will see it. The dysfunction we see, the damage we see in society today, the problems we are having, the reason our gates are our fences are so high, it's not because we live with dogs. It's because of human beings. Those human beings were born by men and women. Those human beings are meant to have fathers. The reason you cannot sleep peacefully without having OPC all over the place is because of that dysfunction. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It is a big deal.
And in your line of work, I mean, how do you help people move from that, you know, problem solver, provider place to being an emotional, available father? Does it start with the marriage of 2 people first before it goes on to the kids, or it's just purely
no, it begins with diagnosis. It begins with diagnosing that, like I just said, do they know, or was it you? It's what you don't know. You can't tag. You can't properly situate.
You can't heal from.
Yes, you can heal from. That's the word. What you don't know, you can heal from. So if I have malaria, you know, and I don't know that I have malaria, how do I go looking for artesunates and
anyone else?
anyone
start selling market
combination therapy and all those things. You get it? So I have to first of all, and that's the real work, knowing, identifying, diagnosing is the real. It's 50%. Once we have, and some of them could actually be things as little as how easy is it for you to say I love you, son, in full sentence without your mouth?
How is that supposed to be difficult?
Oh, Ayo. Just enter a room full with boys and say, when last did you hug your father? Like, at the Chris? Say, waiting to happen. That's what you're going to hear. Yes. Hugging is a big deal for many men of our generation. And
hugging or the lack of it.
They can't.
They are not able to do it.
They can't. They can't. There are guys, you hold their hands their wife holds their hands as they are walking on the road. They just sleeping.
But is that a culture thing? Because I don't know if the films we watch
it is worsened by culture.
Are anything to go by. You know, we don't. If you don't travel, if you travel, you see it. If you watch movies, I'm talking about movies, foreign movies now.
Yeah.
When you're going out, darling, I'm off. Okay, darling, see you later. Mwah. Hug. Okay, when you come back, darling, I'm at home. You hug. You do.
Is there no Yoruba? Say it in Yoruba.
I'm just saying.
What you just said now. Say it in Yoruba. Say it in Yoruba.
And then you now hug.
What today? Báwo ni Diami? Or whatever. And you hug. But people hug now.
That's it. Báwo ni Diami?
Okay, so
it is not the language. It is the heart.
Okay, let me put it. Well, this last week we had what's his name? Afolayan, Gabriel Afolayan. And we're talking about the movie Anikulapo, and I watched the part of it a few days ago. And the couple, the Gabriel and his wife, he goes out for his musical performances, and she's at home worried, when will he be back? Is he coming back? And then when she hears his voice, she runs out of the house and jumps on him. They hug and say, "I'm back." Well, it's culture now, and that's supposed to be olden days.
It's a Yoruba movie, right?
Yoruba movie.
So it is not. You see, these lies, we buy them and they assume a life of their own. Ayo, the word Olowo Orimi, is it a French word?
No.
What is it? What does it mean?
It says the person that has paid
the owner of the money.
They are the person that has paid my bride price. Essentially, that's what it is.
Okay.
So what is the masculine response to that?
None to my knowledge. Okay. No.
Yes, now that's what they say now.
That's what the men say.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But what's the
not necessarily opposite?
Okay.
We're just saying when you're told as a man, Olowo Orimi, what should be
Ọkùnrin ló ń ké sí.
Is it German?
It's Yoruba.
If it's in the heart, the words will express it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let it be in the heart. And let the words, let the mouth say it. Which is why part of broken fatherhood, is this reality of boys who have never been told by the most important man in their lives. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Who is more important than daddy? Tell me who? The person never born, they never born up. Now this most important man, as important as he is, that we look forward to in the morning, tells me, I'm proud of you. I love you, son. Now Chris, you may know.
In other words, and they wait for the person who will bring fire.
Are you with me? What is that's the ultimate of affection. I believe in you, son. Sweetheart, you are the best. You tell a girl that, where's the boy coming from? But we don't hear these things.
You remind me of my daughter. When she was in secondary school, a teacher was beating everybody in her class. She said, "Don't come near me, oh. Don't come near me, oh." I said, "Why?" "You don't know my daddy." "What do you mean?" "You know, what do you mean? If he does it to you, if he beats you, what are you going to do?"
Don't come close.
She just laughed right. Because something has happened before.
You understand?
I think that confidence, what you are essentially saying is that the children should be able to trust that their parents will defend them come what may.
Ayo, that's one of it.
Okay.
But there is a feeling that comes from knowing that I am loved unconditionally.
Regardless.
There's a feeling that comes from knowing that A1, F9, I am loved.
But please add to it. Add to this. There is a place for loving a child.
Yes.
And there is a place for discipline.
Yes.
In the home.
Yes.
It's that balance sometimes that some parents struggle with. So if a father is broken hitherto and he's struggling with his own thing, and the child is going
He's going to,
Exactly.
he's going to now, you see, when we spoke, I was telling you, there's a difference between discipline and humiliation. When you humiliate a child, you humiliate this child because the child did not prostrate, or is it dobale? Ayo, that's not cultural, isn't it? So what do you do to the child? Do you break the child, or you correct the child? Then it also knowing that a child who requires or who needs discipline is a child in need of help. When a child needs help, what do you do to the child? Do you break the child further? This child is in need of help. The child is acting the way he or she is acting, and it's an indication that this child needs help.
Okay.
So do you destroy the child in the name of discipline and trying to provide the help?
We'll come to the child later. We're talking about the father.
Yes, please.
Now, you're trying to help us know what does a father do himself now to
That
begin
he
to
knows.
come back,
Yeah.
from that broken state. Because some fathers have lost their children to that.
Yeah.
What would be their first? You've talked about diagnosing the situation.
Yeah.
What are the diagnoses?
Naming what this whole thing, creating a checklist. Do you struggle with open show of affection with your kids? That's a problem. That's an indication. That's a symptom. Do you have problem affirming your children? Do you feel if I praise him, I go enter in head, he will start misbehaving? You have a problem, Dad. Have a problem. Do you see yourself repeating some of the
things that your dad did to you?
Yes, that's a problem. And there are even triggers. I was sharing with you the lady who, when she does homework with the child, she beats the hell out of the child without knowing. But she's actually revenging the beating the father was giving to her when the father was helping with homework.
Or she just believes that that's how to do it.
Oh, no. No! That's how it was done. It's a default setting.
Yeah.
So you need to diagnose, properly target. I have this problem. There are men who, part of their fatherhood brokenness, or part of the education of this healing that they need, that they keep secrets from their wives, and that is their superpower. And they've been told that your wife must not know everything. It's a weak man that tells the wife everything. That is a sign. So you know that you have a problem. And then, of course, there's a sexual dimension to it also. There are guys who, in fact, we had a workshop, and I have permission to share this, so don't worry. The father was a womanizer. And when the father passed on, they saw like 3 people that they never knew were their siblings. They saw them at the wedding, at the funeral.
I told you, it's a person that does not know he has a child. Also,
he knows. The man knows.
Oh, the man knew, right?
He knew rather. So this guy is married. Guess what? He cheats on his wife. And the wife said, this thing you did for your life, you will never. I will make you suffer for it. The woman didn't talk to him for 6 months. They were living in the same house. And not long after, she packed her things and left. So the guy was like, So while sharing the problem, he was like, I don't even know what I did. I just carry one side chick now. To him, that's not a big deal. The father had normalized infidelity, and it's already installed in his system.
Yeah.
So he cheats on his wife, and he thinks
it's normal.
Shebi, old man did this thing now, and my mother was taking it. Okay, that's your mother. This woman you married, she can't take it. So when he's telling the story, he tells it as if you're all too much, but he didn't know that he has a problem, and his marriage is gone. It was at this meeting that I said, okay, sorry, if you don't deal with it, you already have kids, that your son is going to repeat this episode. If you don't sit down, which is the next phase to healing, become the father you never had. Become the father. What were those things you wish you had? What were those things you wish your father did? Identify them and start to develop capacity, which is the next thing. Develop capacity for becoming the ideal father, or the perfect father. If your father was not available, become available. And then there is another dimension, which is make a commitment that this must not move to the next generation.
Yeah.
In other words, if you had become, there are men watching us now, they have all manner of side chicks. Some, their sons have picked it up. They've had their mother complaining, and it's ingrained. If you don't want to reproduce after your kind, you don't want that philandering conduct that has ruined your relationship, you need to have a sit down with your son. Tell yourself, this thing will end with me. And it may not even be infidelity, it could be just financial irresponsibility. Your father was that let us shop this thing and die today. So he could not do much. He couldn't even send you guys to school. Now you have a son, and there's this tendency inside of you. You need to sit down and say, guys, my father did this, and that's why we're here. Please, you must not move this thing. It should end with me. I couldn't send you to good schools because of this. Now I've realized. Please don't let it become part of your life.
Now this is fatherhood.
Yes.
But how about the man himself? You talked about realization. It's possible that these traits that you're pointing out are not just affecting the fellow as a father.
Yes.
But also in various other areas of their lives, in business, in this one, in that one.
Yeah.
How does a father decode that kind of thing as well?
You know, we started by saying, okay, you need to seek help. When you seek help, you can find external help. You know, that can help you diagnose properly, you know, like I do most times. And then when you find out that I have a problem, these problems have become operant, then let's seek help. Do you get? So the first thing you can do for yourself as a father is sit down, and do what I called audit, fatherhood audit. Ask your sons, your children, daughters, have I been the ideal father? Have I been the father you wished you had? Have you seen other fathers you think I could be like? What are those things you think I should stop doing? I should do more of? I should do less of? Once you get some of those feedbacks, it can help you if you're sincere and you're honest about changing.
I can't tell you how appreciative I am of these things that you're saying, but perhaps one of the major challenges men have is the fear of being vulnerable. But please don't even start it, because that's another conversation.
That's a symptom of damaged father.
Exactly, because if a man is not able to, is afraid to be vulnerable, they won't be vulnerable to their kids. They will only be looking out for the perfect figure, and when they see themselves that in this area I'm not perfect, they see themselves as failures. That's probably another time, because once we start now, we won't finish. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Kingsley Obama-William is a parenting coach, and if you think you need to be diagnosed, I'm his manager. Just saying.
Self-appointed.
So,
Self-appointed manager.
No,
you
I ratify the appointment. I'm sorry, Joke. I'm sorry.
These are the politicians we're talking about.
No.
Yes, just before we take on our last segment this morning, we told you that elections are ongoing in Kano, in Rivers, as well as in the FCT.
Yeah.
We have some updates from.
Yes, from our correspondent Sadiq Ilyasu, covering the elections in Kano. He says that 3 major opposition political parties are absent from the ballot in today's by-election conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission in Kano State. The affected parties are the People's Democratic Party, the New Nigeria People's Party, and the coalition involving the African Democratic Congress. INEC has, however, declared its readiness to conduct what it describes as a free, fair, and credible by-election in the municipal and Ungogo state constituencies. The off-season poll is being held to fill 2 vacant seats in the Kano State House of Assembly following the deaths of the former lawmakers last year. At a media briefing recently, the resident electoral commissioner in Kano, Ambassador Abdul Zango, assured journalists that all political parties were participating in the exercise. But now we see that some of those parties, huge, big parties, are absent from those elections. That's the latest from Kano State, from our correspondent there.
Well, I was hoping that we'll hear back from Charles.
Yes, also, I think he also said that voting in Kano constituency 2 by-election is ongoing. However, businesses are operational and there's a low turnout of voters in the polling units so far visited. There were, however, security operatives present at some of those voting units. That's Kano Rivers. You can see those pictures. Earlier, of course, Charles reported that people did not come out to vote.
Well,
he sounded very concerned.
Now he's showing us that people are not voting. So we have more security personnel, more INEC officials than voters. This is not looking very good. Mr. Oloyede had expressed fear that we may be having less than 4%.
Yeah. So this latest update from Rivers Kano is from our correspondent Deborah Miefi-Beresima, who also is one of our correspondents in
covering
Rivers,
these elections.
Covering the election in Rivers State. Yes.
Okay, this is Channels Television. We will definitely keep bringing you more and more of these. All things are set. The table is set. Voters, please go out to vote. Now, who is our artist of the week? Sample this. I said it's a sample.
Sample.
What are you looking for? Have you not heard? Get your copy.
Now. Oh my God.
Who is? Don't start. Who is our artist of the? Where's my script? Anyway, I got it in visual script. Okay, you have it.
I have it here. Okay.
So your artist of the week is don't no mentioning of names here.
Drum roll.
Multi-talented.
Oh wow.
Nigerian creative. Born in Lagos.
Wow.
Trained at the University of Lagos. Rose to national prominence as a housemate on Big Brother Naija Season 6, where audiences encountered not only his charisma, but also his vulnerability. We're just talking about that, brother.
Yes, so.
He is is a hyper-realistic visual artist, a fashion model, a fitness entrepreneur, a singer, and a rising force in music, in film, and media production. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
That's not drum now.
That's him! They call him Saga.
Saga.
Thank you.
Adeoluwa Okusaga. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
How did that intro sound?
It was good. Even you skipped engineer.
Yeah.
Gosh!
Didn't he say so? Like he said.
Well, anyway, engineer, how did edit this to your mind?
Exactly.
Wow.
Wow.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's great to see you.
Thank
you. You don't look like Omobao.
Omoba ni mi o. Omoba Aderoju.
I mean, please, guys, can you picture this face as the Omoba in?
Yes, now.
Anukulako?
Yes, I thought you looked familiar. what
A
happened
lot of
to you?
people speak like,
You went to.
I said it was the one. It's Saga. That's the beauty of filmmaking. I changed my whole look.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where is your sister? Where are you hiding her? You see that I watched it.
You didn't watch it. You didn't watch it.
First of all, forgive me for calling it a transition.
Yes.
Anyone looking at you right
Yes.
now cannot situate with Adeolu
Yes.
in
Aderoju. Yes.
Okay, so see, he's Adeolu in
Yes.
real life.
I'm a prince in real life as well.
in-
really?
I'm from a real family here.
Oh wow.
And he's so you're already used to character.
Yeah, he's playing. You should have played yourself.
Yes.
A prince, an engineer,
Yes.
in artists, in entertainment.
Yes.
What are you doing here? Which one came first?
Which one? To be honest, if I have to describe myself in one word, I'm a creative. Then that translates into every other thing I did.
Okay.
You know, it's hard to believe, but I am an oil and gas engineer, like hands-on, well completions engineer. I did it for like 6 years, you know,
wow.
before I went into entertainment. So yeah, I would say engineering came first, but then I've always been drawing, I've always been acting, I've always been singing since I was a kid. I was in the drama group, in church, I was in choir, I was in choreography, I was in everything.
Wow.
I was representing my school in Muson Center for music in primary school. You know, I was in the art club, I was drawing, painting. That's all just been inside me.
You were just a very active boy. They needed to raise your energies.
How are you able to find the patience
To do what?
to sit down in a class and study engineering?
I love engineering. I love engineering as well. You know, that's why a lot of artists end up as engineers, because for you to be an engineer, you need to have a powerful imagination.
Yeah.
That's one, you know, so you have to have imagination, understanding, and skill as well. These are things that are also...
And you need to be smart too.
And you need to be smart. So a lot of artists like Da Vinci, a lot of them like that, end up as engineers as well, because it's a parallel, you know, engineering and science. Yeah.
So, at what point did you now decide? And then you were at Big Brother Nigeria.
Yes.
To go and do what?
To launch my career as an entertainer.
I think we can say that he's a restless fellow.
Yes.
Yeah. Am I right?
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Restless. He needs to do. He can't sit down and do one thing. He needs to
Restless people do bunkering. He's restless.
No. Come on.
But I get the point. I get the point.
Like you can't. You know, because sometimes they'll look at you. I'm sure growing up when you were doing all that, some people say, "Oh, that your boy. You need to." You know, rein in his energy into something, so that's, you know, but you have quite, you know, after growing up, you've been able to do a lot of things and still concentrate on that and make something out of it.
I didn't even, like when I was an engineer in school, I didn't even touch any of the creatives. I completely abandoned them. So when my classmates or classmates see me now, they're like, who is this guy? Because he was almost non-existent when I was an engineer in school. So I started drawing officially the year after I left school. That was when I started drawing officially. So my classmates just know that, okay, I love technical drawing. I loved drawing my diagrams. I used to do assignments for people, draw their, you know, those.
It's one of them.
Well, you can say it now. You don't, if there are those consequences for you saying it.
My point is, like, I concentrated on my engineering when I was in school.
Yeah.
Fully. It was when I left school, I started to do anyhow. Like, I'd take my drawing board to work. Like, I'd put my drawing board on the table and I'll be drawing. Offshore, I'm drawing. I'm doing my fitness. I'm doing all those things. I'm singing. So my colleagues at work literally begged me to go for Big Brother. They begged me. I never watched the show. Oh. They were like, please, just go, please. Just go. You do well.
And how was that experience for you?
The Big Brother experience, it was good. It was worth it. You know, it was rough at the time.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, it was absolutely worth it. I couldn't have pictured my life play out a different way.
Do you think that, you know, for a lot of people that we see, being on the Big Brother stage, it helps launch their career, whichever direction, whatever you want to do.
Yes.
You're now out there, people know you. Did it help you, catapult you in any way? Any other role in life that you were?
It did. To be honest, like, as I said, I wouldn't have imagined my life play out another way, because that was the reason why I went to the show. I didn't go there to meet anybody or anything. I went there to start my career as an entertainer. When I left the show, when Ebuka asked me, what do you want to do? The tape is out there. I said, I want to be an artist. I want to have exhibitions. I want to be an actor, and I want to have my own gym. You know, the only thing I've not done is have my own gym, but you know, I've touched every other aspect fully.
So actually, you have a gym. It's just that you don't have equipment in it.
Thank you.
We can jog.
Yes.
If you Jim, I hope you don't want to be a fitness instructor, because your people, they will not listen to what you're saying. They will just be looking at this fine boy.
I was a fitness instructor for like 2 years.
Oh wow!
Yes, I was. Before Big Brother.
And how was that? How did that play out?
You're kind of right.
I knew it.
But you know, there's a lot of people are afraid of fitness trainers, but it's not like that. So I don't want to further promote that narrative. You know, fitness trainers have self-control.
You just have to shut it down. Let's shut this down no longer.
When you decided that here's your certificate for my engineering, I'm going into arts.
Hey, but it did 6 years
Wait,
first.
Calm down. Are you Saga?
I'm Saga.
Let him. Don't speak for him. You were saying, Jerry.
Yes, sir.
When you said, Mom, Dad, I'm going to entertainment.
Yeah.
I'm leaving this engineering certificate for you guys. How did they receive it?
So first of all, my dad is watching. My dad is watching.
Okay.
My uncle is watching. So I haven't left engineering.
Please, so he hasn't left engineering. He has not left us. He's engineering the entertainment space.
I'm engineering my life. So I haven't left. I just took a break. You know, I'm still an engineer at heart. I practiced for 6 years, as I said. But then, at the time when I told him I was going to Big Brother, it was
really mad.
He was crazy. You know, they couldn't understand. They were like, why? You have a future here. You're building a career. All of that, you know.
It's part of
but
it,
they had faith in me eventually, and they gave me the platform to do what I needed. So I thank God. I'm making money. Because if I didn't eventually make money, if it didn't turn out good, that would be on me.
Okay.
You know. Yeah.
Anikulapo.
Yes, sir.
Really, I'm intrigued by the transition. Joke, look at him.
I know now. I don't know how you cover this hair with that cap. Where are you? You should
when I saw him in there, like, where is the fellow I'm looking for? So, first of all, that transition for you, how did it come? Secondly, you had to speak 100%, not just Yoruba, Ijinle.
Yes.
Etymological Yoruba.
Yes.
How did that come about? Did you even know you had it in you?
Maybe that was part of his many talents he did not know.
I'll tell you, I like to challenge myself. You know, I love to challenge. Since I was a kid, I just like to take up challenges. So when Mr. Kunle Afolayan called me, you know, that he wanted me to be in Anikulapo, I was dumbfounded. It was too much. You know, and it was all thanks to, according to him, he watched Couple Chronicles I used to do with Electoral at the time, you know, where I would speak Yoruba, I play a Yoruba character. So he thought I was the one speaking those languages, but I wasn't. I was lip syncing.
Oh my goodness.
You know, my Yoruba wasn't so good. Because, you know, my parents, let me not get into that. But my Yoruba, I don't blame anyone, but my Yoruba wasn't so good. You know, so when he called me, and then he said he wanted to meet me personally, he said I should speak Yoruba to him.
You have to speak it now.
Wait, no. I'll be coming down. And Daddy is watching. What will embarrass us in public?
When he heard me, he was like, you will need to work on this. But he said he believed I could do the role. That's why I'll forever appreciate him for giving me the opportunity. He just believed in me. I didn't have the language. I didn't have the charisma, you know, because I'm a normal Lagos boy, you know. But he believed in me, and he told me I shouldn't disappoint him. So what I did was, he gave me the script, and I took a month. I cancelled everything else I was doing. I got into character. I learned my lines. I got a coach to teach me. Like, I got a coach, that's Washiri on Instagram. He trained me every day for 30 days. I was watching Maso Imbu on YouTube. Right. I'm telling you, like, I was watching all the Yoruba histories. I was listening to Yoruba radio, and I got into. I have my lines in my head till today.
Wow.
I can speak them for you. Yeah. So I cut my beard because I was going to play a younger character. I was going to play a prince. I wanted to execute it immaculately. I think I did a good job. You know?
I don't know. We your fans.
Thank you.
And your AC.
Thank you. It wasn't easy, 100% Yoruba. Like on set, when I'm shooting, I'll say something like, Emma Binusa. I'll just say, cut! I'll just say, cut! Like, I would just, English would just come to my mouth sometimes. I'll just say, Mr. Kunle Afolayan would just say, Saga! Don't say that. You know, everybody helped me on set. I worked with veterans like Ogogo. I worked with a lot of them, so they were correcting me on set. Every mistake was corrected, and it was beautiful. I was on set for 2 months. We shot in Lagos and Abuja. I mean, in Oyo and Ghana.
Oh, really?
Ghana. Yeah, we traveled to Ghana to shoot. You know, most of the scenes when I was running in the bush, I ran from Oyo to Ghana. Nobody would know. Like we shot some parts. When the love sequence between me and Kiki was shot in some parts in Oyo and some parts in Ghana. Wow. So I ran across the countries. You know, like you get what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So it was a lot. It was a lot. I gave that character my all. I don't think I've given myself to anything that much in my life.
Wow. Yeah. And it turned out extremely exceptionally well.
Yes.
How did you deal with Antalanio? Because I'm going to call him out.
Yes.
He's a Edmond, you are a terrorist. but you know,
that scene was scary.
Which one?
You know the scene? Yes, no. Okay, maybe you don't know the scene. The scene where I took my sister from his kingdom without his permission.
Yes.
He gave me the stare down. You know, and you know when people watch the story.
And you two held your own. Like
I tried.
I'm going with her.
But you said it was scary.
It was scary, you know, it was. You know, you have to put yourself in the shoes of your character. To be honest, I'm a 32-year-old man, but my character in the film is probably a teenager. You know, that's what people need to understand when you're watching the film. So that's why people expected to see me fighting and all of that. It's not yet time for that. All those they might come in future, but at the time, I'm just a teenager who is trying to figure himself out, trying to take up responsibility. So I'm like, what's going on in the kingdom? My sister has been taken to this, I'm going to save her. You know, the mind of a child.
Nice.
Then I went there, I almost broke the
bilateral
rule or code or whatever.
Almost, you broke it.
So much more to say, but let's take a quick trip to Port Harcourt. Maybe you went to Ghana from Oyo.
Yes.
Let's go to Port Harcourt very quickly. Charles Operum, our correspondent. You have an update, Charles?
Hi. The last time we spoke, I was standing outside the hall. But not long after, the person in charge of opening the town hall opened up, and the INEC ad hoc staff moved into the hall. But now, the good news is that the number of people who are supposed to vote here has started.
Oh dear. Well, sincere apologies about that. I'm almost certain that we're going to get him back. But at least the point is more people are coming out. Please let more and more people come out. Saga, oh gosh.
Did you eventually wake up?
I'm going to have the most poker face I've had.
We didn't finish. You didn't wake up when we finished that first part. So don't say it. Don't say it. Don't worry. Don't say it. You tell me after we close.
Yes, I will.
Well, so you also sing.
Yes, I do.
And you do a number of other things.
Yes, sir.
Let's just say that this is not the first. This is not the only trip you're going to pay to this studio.
Yes.
We're going to have to hijack you.
Yes. You want me to sing?
No, just
months down the line to bring you those videos that I asked for. I'm going to get them.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, there's going to be civil war.
When we thank you, reply in Yoruba, please. I must say that Yoruba. Okay, so thank you for coming.
Go on our Instagram handle. Okay, this is one of those videos. This is one of those videos. Well, you go on our Instagram handle to hear him speak in Yoruba.
What is wrong with you?
I insist.
I can speak some of my lines from the film.
What are your
All right, this is one of my favorite lines. Ìyá mi, ẹ yé fẹ́ mi lójú ní múmọ́. Èmi ọdẹ tí mo ti ń dádẹ ẹgbó. Èmi ògbójú oníjàkadì tí mo ti ń fi àyè ológun òjọlẹ̀. Ibi tí mo ti mọ orúkọ téwé àtegbò ń jẹ́ nígbó. Òǹgbẹ àìróorun sùn ti bá mi mulẹ̀. Nítorí náà, èmi tẹ́ ń wò yìí, mo ti kúrò ní ọmọ ọwọ́ àná tẹ̀ mọ́.
Yes, I remember that.
Mo ti di akọni ọkùnrin báyìí.
If you want more of this, go and watch Anikulapo. Go and watch Anikulapo. Don't come and give us all of Anikulapo here. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
Adeoluwa Saga, popularly known as Saga. Really appreciate it. And Daddy, thank you
for watching. Uncle too.
Thank
you for watching.
For allowing him. Thank you for making him a gift
to be an engineer of life. Okay, bye everyone.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. She is Joke Rogers.
Bye.